Everybody wants to tell you what to buy when you're first starting out in photography, but the truth is, you really don't need that much, and unless it's a camera body or a lens, you don't actually need it at all. But let's be honest with ourselves, if you're anything like me, you want to make your life a little bit easier. So let's talk about a few photography gadgets that when you're first starting out will make your life easier, even though they're not necessarily that important for you to have. The first piece of kit that's going to make your life a little bit easier is a multi-tool. You can get something that's as simple as a Leatherman, or you can go all the way down the rabbit hole of photo and video specific multi-tools. This one that I have specifically was about 20 bucks on Amazon, but there are a few that go upwards of $100 that have a ton of different bits on them and different little tools and gadgets that are specifically designed for photography. Looking at it a little bit closer, there's 4 different size Allen keys on here. There's a Phillips head screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and a T25 Torx driver. I haven't actually used the T25 Torx driver, but it's there when I need it. Having one of these multi-tools when you're first starting out is really important later down the line, because as your photography kit develops, you will just ultimately have more and more pieces of gear that are going to require you to screw things in and out of them. And this will ultimately solve all of your problems in one tiny little cheap tool. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to take a base plate off of my camera and it's just stuck on there because I don't have the right size Allen wrench. When I got this, I always had the right size Allen wrench. The next piece of gear that's going to come in handy for you is a remote shutter. Now, you may not think much of this right now, but once you actually have one, it unlocks quite a bit of capabilities for you. I'm using it now as I'm recording this YouTube video, and I use it all the time when I have my camera on a tripod and I may be standing a few feet away from it, where it's more of a convenience factor that I don't have to go back and touch the camera and I can just take a picture with this remote. It's on the cheaper end of camera gear at just 40 bucks, and it's really not that necessary, but it's one of those convenience factors that when you have it, it makes your life a lot easier. And having this in your bag also opens up a few more capabilities that you may not be thinking of right away. At night, if you put your camera on a tripod and you want to take a long exposure photo, you can drop your shutter speed way down, and you don't have to worry about the camera shake when you go to press the button, because you can connect this bad boy and all you have to do is press this button here and there is no movement in your camera. It's also extremely easy to set up. On your camera, there's usually some sort of Bluetooth setting. For my Canon R6 Mark II, I can go in and select connect to smartphone or connect to Bluetooth remote. In this instance, I'm always going to select connect to Bluetooth remote, and I can use this as a very reliable shutter. Now, there are free versions where if you don't want to spend the $40, you can download the app on your phone and connect your smartphone to use as a remote shutter. The one advantage that your smartphone is going to have is that you're able to see the screen right in your hand. So you can monitor exactly what you're looking at and select exactly where you want to focus with the actual phone. One of the annoyances to this though is that the connection isn't all that stable, and a lot of times the image that you're seeing is pretty choppy on the screen. So it's not the most reliable, but if you don't want to spend the 40 bucks, download the app because it's completely free and it does work pretty well. The next piece of kit that I recommend looking into is some sort of quick release system. Now, I say system because it's not just one thing that you're going to get. It's building a kit over time that is ultimately going to make your life easier by being able to connect your camera to multiple things. For example, I use Falcam's F38 system by Ulanzi. The system comes with these little top plates that hook into the bottom of your camera. It has a 1/4-20 thread that's really easy to get in and out. And this is where your multi-tool actually comes in handy because there's a flathead screw to get this on and off your camera. So you want it on pretty tight so your camera doesn't fall off. Being able to screw it in with that multi-tool is pretty handy. Now each of these top plates hooks into a base plate, and this one specifically I use with my camera strap, which I'll show you in a minute. You may recognize the red tabs. All you have to do to get this to work is put the top plate into the base plate and it clicks right in. Now, one of the things that I love about this system, and basically any quick release system at this point, is that you can shift this little button to lock it in place. So this is never going to come out. And in order to unlock it, you just twist it again and you can take this right out. Now, I mentioned the Peak Design pucks that are on this base plate. I use this with my camera strap, so I can easily hook up the strap to these little pucks, and the camera strap is all in one system. So I can put this around me, have it always on, and this isn't going anywhere. basically use it as a sling. And then I can take my camera on and off of it as I'm walking around the city, doing street photography, working events. It's really easy for me to have this at my side at all times. And then I can take my camera up and use it normally, or if I need a little bit more extension, I just take the camera right off of this and I have full range of motion with it. And then when I need to, strap it right back into this base plate and the camera hangs by my side, don't have to worry about anything. And because this locks, it's secure on my body and I don't have to worry about anybody trying to take it from me. One of the other great things about a quick release system, specifically with the F38 system, is that it's compatible with the Peak Design capture clip. Now, Falcam does actually make a version of this capture clip that's almost half the price and from a quality standpoint is really nice. So I would actually recommend looking at that instead of this. But I got this before the Falcam even made that version, and there's no reason for me to replace it. One thing to keep in mind is that if you're using the F38 system and you do get yourself a capture clip, the top plate that comes standard with the system is not actually compatible with this clip. Falcam does make a dual compatible clip that on one side, it's Peak Design capture clip compatible, and on the other side, it's F38 compatible. So you basically are able to use it with two systems, left and right and top to bottom. So once you get that dual compatible top plate, I would use that on the bottom of your camera so you can go in and out of the Peak Design clip and whatever other F38 base plates you have very, very easily. If you've never seen a capture clip before, the way that it works is that you unscrew it and you open it up to where it goes around your backpack strap and then you lock it back in place. Once that's locked in, it's not going to go anywhere on your strap and you can have it right here as you're wearing your backpack and you can lock your camera to this. So you're hands-free and you don't have to worry about your camera going anywhere. And it's another just secure way to carry your camera if you're going through a crowd. An example of why you might want to get a capture clip is because it actually adds a little bit more security to yourself when you're walking around with your camera. It keeps your camera in place, and while you can be hands-free, you also don't have to worry about anybody trying to take your camera from you because it's locked to your person. I was actually out taking street photography a couple weeks ago, and I had a cop come up to me and say, "Hey, you may want to be careful with your camera," because I was on State Street, downtown Chicago, and that's not always known to be one of the safest areas to walk around with this big, expensive camera. I then showed him the camera clip that I had attached to my backpack and how I can lock my camera into it so no one can take it off. And he thought that was one of the greatest things and said that if he ever sees a photographer who doesn't have one, he's going to recommend it to them because it's just another added layer of security when you're out taking street photography. One of the other great things about the F38 system is that you can get multiple base plates and multiple top plates and use them for whatever you can think of. I have a base plate attached to my tripod and I'm easily able to take my camera on and off of it. Falcam and Ulanzi actually make tripods that are F38 specific, so you can just buy an F38 compatible tripod if you wanted to do that. And you can actually get pretty creative with how you use your quick release system. Specifically, I had an extra F38 top plate laying around, so I actually screwed that into the bottom of my desk, and I keep my tripod attached to the bottom of my desk. So it's out of the way, it's off the ground, and I don't have to worry about it. I know exactly where it is every time I try and get it, and I just unclick a button, pull it off of that top plate, and I'm good to go. There's a bunch of different F38 accessories that you can get, and I'm still learning new and innovative ways to incorporate the quick release system into my workflow. Like the storage example of how I keep my tripod, I'm constantly trying to think of ways to use it to make my life just a little bit easier. So whatever system you decide to go with, I recommend sticking with one and thinking about how you can utilize it to your advantage. The next gadget that I recommend to make your life just a little bit easier is the TriCharge. Now, this was created by Peter Lindgren, who's a YouTuber who focuses on videography and photography, and he made this in partnership with a company called Jupio. This is a great product because it allows you to store and charge 3 extra batteries at one time. You can also use this as a power bank because there's an in and an out cable port where you can charge all of your batteries at once, and there's an LED indicator under each one, so you can see separately how much battery each of your batteries have. Or you can use the out and charge whatever you want with a USB-C cable here, like your phone, headphones, whatever else you need. This is basically a power bank. And this doesn't just hold batteries, it holds SD cards as well. So you have 3 additional SD card slots, you have 2 micro SD card slots, and you have 3 CF Express slots up top. One thing I do actually highly recommend though is to make sure that you have additional batteries to put into the TriCharge, because if you're only operating with one battery, then you're essentially limited to that battery's life, and you want to have additional so you can go out and shoot and not have to worry about running out of battery to where you're not going to be able to get those reps in. The same thing goes for SD cards. You want to make sure that you have multiple so you can store them in here. So if you're out and you end up filling an SD card with photos, you can take that out, swap it out with one of these, and you can continue to shoot and not have to worry about losing whatever images you've already taken. So this does actually combine multiple products into one and streamlines your workflow. You don't need an additional battery charger, additional battery case, or a SD card case. I have all 3 of those, and I've stopped using them ever since I got this TriCharge because it is quite literally an all-in-one product. At $125, it's not all that expensive when you think about the fact that it combines multiple products into one, and you don't have to carry an additional power bank with you. So having the peace of mind of being able to charge all of your devices in a pinch, to me, that's worth the additional cost. And you can get this for Canon, Sony, Nikon, Fujifilm, and Panasonic or Lumix. The last piece of gear that I recommend to make your life just a little bit easier is a battery grip. And this isn't going to be relevant for every single person. If you're just going out and shooting for an hour or two, you really aren't going to need this. But if you're working events, if you're going on long shooting sessions where you're going to be roaming the streets for a long time, having this attached to your camera is going to allow you to go out for longer shooting sessions so you can get more practice in without having to change your battery multiple times throughout a shooting session. A battery grip will also unlock your ability to more comfortably shoot vertical. While this product truly is more of a luxury and not a necessity for anybody, it's one of those things that's going to make your life a whole lot easier because it allows you to go out and get more reps in, more practice. You can stay out for longer without having to carry a ton of extra batteries or constantly switch batteries in and out of your camera. It's essentially doubling the battery life of your camera in just one single grip. The major downside with a battery grip, though, is that it does add quite a bit of bulk to your camera because it's essentially attaching 2 additional batteries into your camera that wouldn't be there otherwise. So if you like the small form factor of your camera, you may not actually like carrying this around. However, for somebody like me who's constantly shooting events, this is great because I have the peace of mind of not having to worry about my camera dying at a specific point in time throughout the event. I can basically get through an entire day with just the battery life in this grip. The way this works is that you put your 2 batteries in this slot here on the grip, and then you close it up and you remove the battery door from the bottom of your camera. You can store that battery door in this section of the grip, which is actually really convenient so you don't have to worry about losing it. Now, all you have to do is align this piece with where the battery would go into your camera and attach it from the bottom. There's a 1/4-20 thread right here with a locking mechanism that will keep this in place so you don't have to worry about your camera coming off of it, and it locks pretty tight so you really never have to worry about your camera coming off. Once you have this attached to your camera, don't forget to actually turn it on. Once it's on, then you can use the vertical grip functionality and take a picture with your shutter, control everything, and there's even a joystick on here. So you have full functionality with this grip as you would with a typical back of your camera. And if you end up using a quick release system, like I mentioned earlier, you can still use that with this camera grip because there's a thread at the bottom that you can attach a top plate to, and it's same functionality as if you didn't have this grip on there. So I still use this with my camera strap and the base plate that I have attached like I showed earlier. This grip specifically is from Canon. This is the BG-R10 model, which they don't actually make anymore. However, you can still find these used on eBay or Facebook Marketplace, anywhere really, and you can get a great deal on this. Brand new, this specific grip was about $350. Now, I didn't actually pay that because I got this on eBay gently used for, I think it was about $200. So I was able to get a great deal and it functions and works amazing. It feels like it's brand new, and quite frankly, I don't know if this ever was used. You also can go the third-party route with battery grips because companies like Newer and SmallRig do offer battery grips that are quite a bit less expensive, but you may just have to sacrifice some of the vertical shooting capabilities that this grip offers you, and you just may not have all the exact same buttons that you would have on this Canon version. And there you have it. That's my list of 5 very useful gadgets for every photographer who's just starting out. None of these are real essentials for shooting photography, but a lot of them are gonna make your life just that much easier, especially as you grow your kit down the line. If you feel that I missed anything that you feel is an essential piece to your photography kit, let me know down in the comments, because I love to understand what other people are using to help improve their daily workflow, and I'd love to add those to my kit as well. Thanks for sticking around, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and come back for more content as we continue to push out more and more videos. Until the next time, go out and use your camera.